He's a Hall of Fame speaker and an award-winning entertainer who loves the sport of Olympic wrestling and has a strong passion for helping people reach their full potential. I'm delighted to welcome and have a conversation with Wayne Lee, peak performance expert on Small Talk. I'm your host, Javed Khan. Wayne Lee, peak performance expert, welcome to Small Talk.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
It is an absolute pleasure to have you, my friend. Wayne Lee, folks, is a peak performance expert, a Hall of Fame speaker, worldwide, I'm going to say, Wayne, if you don't mind, a worldwide awesome entertainer. I've seen this guy in action, folks, and you got to check out his videos. You have to check him out on LinkedIn and all the various social media channels. And Wayne, when I saw you at a conference, you were like the guy hypnotizing, making people do some really funky, weird, yet funny, entertaining things. And you talk about hypnosis actually working for people in terms of achieving their goals. I'm really intrigued with that conversation piece today, Wayne, and I'm sure the folks watching the show or you're listening to the podcast version would be, please help us understand, how do people take hypnosis and achieve a stronger goal?
For sure, Javed. I think that, when it comes to hypnosis, it is a very misunderstood subject and a very mysterious and mystical subject for a lot of people. So first of all, I start with breaking it down so people understand that people are hypnotizing themselves all day long. We live in trances, when we drive to work or to and from someplace and we forget the route we just took. That's a trance-like state. Or when people get sucked into the vortex of social media or even Instagram and they're on there and an hour goes by and they're like, wow, it felt like 2 minutes. Or a good Netflix program, somebody's calling their name and they didn't even think anyone was in the room. So it's one of those things where it's a misunderstood thing. And the real simple definition of hypnosis is the non-critical acceptance of an idea. So when we're in those trance-like states, we can we're like sponges that accept ideas and suggestions into our subconscious. So then how does that relate to achieving our goals? Well, when people are focused upon, say, what they want and they're supporting it with all these suggestions, the self-talk, the commands that they can do it, they will do it, and that becomes an ongoing program or command, it then becomes part of their subconscious makeup, their psyche, and it becomes a habit, and that's a good habit. The challenge is that a lot of people are riddled with bad habits. They've picked up all these negative programs about not believing in themselves, not being able to do something, or just, scarcity mentality. And so they shrink to a level where if they want to achieve something and they've set a goal, but they've got all these self-limiting beliefs, then the hypnosis comes into letting go of those beliefs, putting new beliefs and behaviors into their subconscious so then they can act accordingly, which I call getting into alignment.
Getting into alignment, expand on that. What does that mean in terms of achieving your goal?
Yeah, for sure. So I have an acronym for ALIGN, and it's all life is generated now, or all love is generated now. And a lot of people have these great desires and these dreams and these ambitions, and they will have, in accordance with that, they need to have some really good beliefs and strong trust points in terms of them achieving that. But a lot of people will have these limiting beliefs, again, which I just mentioned, and they will clash. They will come into contact where they have this really strong desire, but then they have this self-limiting belief, and it brings them down. And they will always feel a sensation of, well, what does it feel like to be negative or stressed out or anxious? And so that's always the greatest indicator that you're not on course, you're not in alignment. So anytime people start to feel good and they get themselves to feel good by thinking better thoughts, they become more aligned to that goal, that dream. And then it happens a lot easier. It's not to say that they don't work hard. All successful people have worked hard, they put in the time, but it's because that passion, they're so driven and they have these great beliefs that are in alignment that they get excited, they get eager, they get pumped up, and the action then is what follows.
So Wayne, for those folks who are watching the show and or listening to the podcast version, what would be that one thing that you would want and request of our audience to take away from this conversation, be it an actionable item or perhaps some homework? What would that be from your perspective?
Well, first of all, I think, the one thing, if people have already identified their goals, their dreams, and successful people have done that, is to do 10 minutes of visualization a day. Now, some people that I've just heard that statement of mine go, oh, visualization, I do that, okay, I know how to do it. But how many people are actually doing the 10 minutes a day of visualization? And here's the caveat, as if they've already achieved that goal. As if they've already achieved that goal, there's a sensation that happens that you feel this amazing excitement, this celebration, like me having my birthday party the other day I was telling you about. Hey, we're celebrating. People should celebrate before it happens, and it happens in the mind. In body, they feel it, and 10 minutes a day of doing that as if they've already achieved a goal. And that programs that subconscious, which I call your GPS, the great programmable subconscious, that is always taking in all the things that you put into it. A lot of people, again, they're just not putting the right things into it. They're not visualizing the right things. They're focusing upon what they don't want. So that would be my suggestion, is people to take 10 minutes out of their day, wherever they can fit it in, and they have to make time. And it's a good time in the morning, and it's actually a good time right before you go to bed to visualize as if you've already achieved that goal.
I love that. Program as if you've already celebrated, you've already successfully completed whatever that goal is.
Exactly. And there's a difference between, I call visualizing it and pretending it. And I use the word pretending, and I smile when I say that because it's like a kid that's already, it's made believe. Those kids do this so naturally that we see, 7, 10 years old. And I've got 2 kids that age, and trust me, their pretending is always working. They don't know how not to pretend. So we need to, as adults, more so take that back and start to pretend as if we've already achieved that goal.
Folks, we've got Wayne Lee. He's the peak performance expert. He's also a Hall of Fame speaker, an internationally known and award-winning entertainer. This guy, folks, is the real deal. I tell you, I've seen him in action. His contact information has been scrolling through the show. You can certainly see his information on the session description of the podcast version. Please reach out to him. The whole idea of these conversations is to start the conversation and to continue it with our guests. And Wayne, if you are looking for someone to, really excite your audience at your conference, please book him. I'm telling you, it's worth every investment of dollar. I've seen him in action. So, certainly reach out to him on that. Now, Wayne, we've got a question for you. And we always ask our first-time guests, if you had an opportunity to have a small talk conversation with anyone, living or past, who would it be?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. And what pops up into my mind is, and I have to preface it, but I'm not a religious person. I'm spiritual in the sense of oneness, but it would be Jesus. It would be to have a conversation with Jesus. I would love to ask so many questions in regards to, him being on a small talk. They just come to me.
That's amazing because we in a previous show, we had the exact same answer from one of our other guests. That's amazing. And absolutely great conversation here with Wayne Lee. Please reach out to him. Wayne, thank you so much for coming here on Small Talk.
Oh, my pleasure, Javed. And thank you for everyone that's listening and watching.
Thank you to Wayne Lee, peak performance expert, for joining me on Small Talk. You can also listen to the show as part of our podcast series. Now it's your turn. Please comment, subscribe, and share. If you've got a topic you'd like to discuss on the show, please give me a call or send me an email. We'll talk with you next time.